Imagine only having $2.26 in your bank account. Now fast forward 5 years, and now you're a millionaire. Does that really happen? Can you really go from being flat broke, having $2.26 to becoming a millionaire in 5 years? Oh, and here's the best part. You're only 30. Does that happen? It does happen. It did happen. And we're gonna find out who this mystery person is today. I mean, there is nothing that I love more than a story of grit, perseverance, entrepreneurship, hustle, and just crushing it. So I have the privilege of knowing some amazing personal finance bloggers, and a lot of them came to Nashville to a mastermind this past weekend. And I mean, these guys are crushing it. I mean, we got guys that are making 6 figures a month. I have guys that have sold their sites for multiple millions of dollars. So in this mastermind group, I was able to connect with a new up and coming personal finance blogger. And this dude, I mean, I didn't even know who he was a year ago. And to be honest, I wasn't really familiar with his story until recently. And the more that I learned about him, I was just, dang, you got it going on. So who am I talking about here? So this guy's name is Grant Sabatier, and he is known as the Millennial Money Expert. And you can check him out at millennialmoney.com. But Grant's story, as I mentioned, he went from being flat broke to becoming a millionaire. So like that was his initial journey. But this is before he got into the online space and just started crushing it with his blog, his upcoming book, and just some amazing things he's got going on. There are so many things that blow me away with his results, but I mean, just having a blog that has basically been around for 3 years, and the guy's making over $400,000 a month. But you're gonna find out more how he pulled that off in this interview. So they came to Nashville, got to connect, got to just network, learn about what's working for us, working with in our businesses, some different strategies, different tactics. And I got to learn more about Grant's story, his mission, what he's working on. Take some notes. If you don't have a notepad handy, pull that out right now. Take some notes because you're going to be blown away. So if you don't know who Grant is, I promise you, this is the guy that you're gonna want to follow. You're gonna wanna watch and see the things that he's doing, the things that he's implementing, the things he's talking about. I mean, it's just, he's got a lot going on and you just want to pay attention. But before you start following him, you gotta know his story. You gotta know where he came from, and that's what you're going to learn today. So you're gonna find out, how did he go from being flat broke to become a millionaire in 5 years? You're also gonna find out how he turned a blog into a thriving online business that generated over $400,000 in revenue in just 3 years. All right, so we're here in Nashville, Franklin to be specific, in an 11,000 square foot Airbnb, and I'm here with a guy who I've met before at the Financial Blogger Conference, but this is the first time we actually got a chance to hang out and just learning more of his story. Yeah. And when I learned more of his story, I recognized that, okay, I gotta know more about it, and you have to know more about it.
You have to know more about it.
Yes, that's you. And so, I mean, honestly, like there's a lot of headlines that have kind of told your story. I think the one that really stood out to me was broke to millionaire in 5 years. By the time is it 31, I think?
30, by the time I was 30.
30.
Yeah.
That was a few years ago for me. But anyway, dude, so Grant, just tell us a little about yourself, your story, and how that came to be.
Yeah, so I'm Grant Sabatier. I'm the founder of Millennial Money. My story is like, a lot of millennials. I graduated with a degree in philosophy, bounced around a number of jobs, ended up back home with my parents at the age of 24. I'd earned up to that point, over $100,000 in after-tax income, but I had nothing left to show for it. I was actually in credit card debt when I ended up unemployed at my parents. And they basically gave me 3 months to figure out what I was going to do next with my life. They were like, you have 3 months, you can crash here, but you got to get out of here. And to be honest, it was one of the scariest moments of my life. and I was really kind of starting from scratch. And I was like, I never want to have this feeling, ever again. Like I'd go down to dinner, and my parents would just like be like, did you apply to any jobs today? And I could just see the disappointment in their eyes. And I was like, I never want to feel this ever again. So basically, I took stock of my skills and figured out that I didn't really have that many marketable skills. But I was actually, while I was doing that, I was using my iPhone, and I saw a Google mobile ad. And I clicked on it, and I was like, I'd never seen a mobile ad before. And I was like, what is this? And I learned through some quick research that you could actually get 15 to 20% of media spend running Google ads. And I was like, that's a lot of money. If you could manage a lot of money, you could make a lot of money. Yeah. And I ended up teaching myself Google AdWords on YouTube in about 60 days. And then I went to AdWords University, and I was able to get AdWords basically beginner and advanced certified after that 60-day period. So I was just about getting kicked out of my house, and I got a job at a digital marketing agency. First job I applied to, I'd applied to 200 jobs, non-digital jobs, but I applied to this one. I got it. The hiring manager said I was so passionate about digital marketing that they couldn't not hire me, and I'd never run a campaign in my life. So I started at that job. I was making $50,000, and it was really just like getting a PhD in digital marketing. It was a small agency, about 30 people, really profitable. And I spent every waking hour there talking to the SEO teams, talking to the web dev teams. I begged the CEO to go out with me once a month to lunch, so I could pick his brain. And I ended up learning a ton really quickly. And within 90 days, I actually sold my first side client. And I made a WordPress website for a law firm for $500. And then about 60 days later, I used that first client to introduce me to other law firms, and I sold a $50,000 website using the same WordPress template. And from then, I ended up making $300,000 that first year. I saved about 80% of my income. I drove an $800 car. I lived in the crappiest apartment you could imagine. And that was really the start of my journey. Ended up leaving the company, starting my own digital agency, and basically aggressively made as much money as possible and invested pretty much everything. I lived on very little, and I hit financial independence in 5 years and 3 months. I went from $2.26 to 1.25 million, and essentially made work optional. And that's when I founded Millennial Money in 2015.
All right, so you're working at this digital agency. You got the $500 client, and then a $50,000 client. But you're still working for the agency, right?
I'm still working for the agency.
So this is like a side hustle.
Completely a side hustle. Yeah, I was trying to pick up clients on Craigslist, actually. At the time, there were law firms, realtors, dental offices. They were posting for marketing help on Craigslist.
So was that number one side hustle was 500, number two was 50,000?
No, number one was 500, and number maybe like 7 was $50,000.
But still, that's how did you determine, or how did you get that confidence to feel like, because if you're getting 500, I know a lot of people would be blown away to get that. So how did you get to the point where like, I'm worth 50,000 and like that's my price?
Well, I definitely didn't think that I was worth 50,000. But one of the best skills that I was able to get quickly is I spent a lot of time with the head sales guy. His name was Dave, and I'd spend as much time as I could with him. He let me in on a few agency pitches, and he was the one that was basically like, Grant, you want to charge them so it almost hurts. And he told me, he's like, you need to not work for people who don't have money. You need to try. You can sell the same thing to someone who doesn't have money as you can to someone who does, and you're going to make a lot of money selling to someone who does. So to be honest, the referral was really important because I was actually introduced to this other law firm through my first client. And so I got the positive referral, and they're like, Grant, he works really hard. He did a great job. And this other law firm, they'd been shopping it out to digital agencies who were going to charge them probably over $100,000. So I came in. I just like, that was like my sky number. And actually after the fact, one of the marketing women said, we probably would have paid you up to 100. That really crushed me. But like literally when I got that first $25,000 check, I remember opening it and getting it in the mail, and like my hands got clammy. I was like, whoa, it's actually possible. So the thing is, I think a lot of people don't take risks. They're afraid of losing that client or not getting that business. And so they really undersell themselves. And I always talk a lot about it's important to understand that you're not just selling your value, it's the perception of that value that's essentially important in pricing.
Yeah. So you're doing that, 50,000, you said a $300,000 client, and then you're like, okay, why am I working for somebody else?
Yeah, exactly.
I need to do this myself.
Yeah.
Was that, how was that transition? Like, was that easy? Was that scary? Or just, did you have enough client base where you're like, I got this?
No, I felt really empowered. I mean, I was 25 years old and I just made $300,000.
Yeah.
So I was like, I literally felt invincible. I had so much energy. I had so much time that I was like, I'm going to figure this out. You know, like I wasn't scared leaving my full-time job. I'm like, I'm gonna figure this out. And so I invested heavily in my referral networks. So the thing is, one of the things, like especially in digital marketing, a lot of people, they try to work with everyone they can or wherever they can get business, and that's a bad thing to do. You actually want to niche down in digital marketing. And so I only worked with dentists, realtors, and law firms. And so I knew that if I could get referrals in those areas and I got introduced to others, that I could build a sustainable business.
Right. Okay. So you got your digital agency going.
Yep.
You know, as you said, you introduced yourself as the founder of Millennial Money.
Right.
So you've got this agency. I have to assume you're crushing it. You're doing well. Where did the Millennial Money, where did that movement come from?
Yeah. So I was, once I got the job at 24, I was like, I'm not going to make the same money mistakes that I did before. So I got really into personal finance. I mean, so when I wasn't working, I was reading about money. Because, like, you know, it clicked pretty soon after then that, like, if I could invest all the money that I was making, you know, the stock market was 2010, that I was going to have, as good a chance as any in ultimately growing my money. And so I'd read a ton of personal finance books, and I got really into that idea, and I really fell in love with the beauty of personal finance. You know, I really think it's an art to manage your money. You know, it's kind of a science, and so I really fell in love with it. And so one of the things is that during that period from 2010 to 2015, I was working all the time. I was traveling, and I started Millennial Money in 2015 as I was traveling to really write about what I had learned, because I was making and investing a lot of money. All my friends were really behind. You know, my friends were still kind of in that first $50,000 a year job and complaining to me. Yeah. And I was like, you know, I think I have something to teach here, because all the books that I had read were really geared towards older people. They weren't really entrepreneurially minded. Right. I'd never seen a blog that combined personal finance, entrepreneurship, and investing. Yeah. Like, I know you do entrepreneurship and investing. And so I was really like, it's the power of these three things that allows you to actually maximize your money. It doesn't matter how much money you make if you're not saving and investing it. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if you invest if you don't have you don't have enough money to invest. Yeah. So it's kind of the yin and the yang. Right. And so I started the blog in 2015. And it took a year for me to, get to, 2,000 visitors a month. But after that first year was a huge inflection point, and it's grown a lot since then.
So do you still have the agency, or did you?
No. So actually that agency that I was doing, law firms and dentists and doctors' offices and realtors, I actually only had that for about 2.5 years. Mm-hmm. But about a year into that, I actually found two guys and I partnered up with them, and I launched a digital agency for higher education. So I was able to make money marketing MBA programs, for universities. And so I really niched down again, even further, just marketing MBA programs. And I partnered with two really successful entrepreneurs. And so they taught me a lot about business. The real challenge for me was we ended up growing that business. And I left the business actually last October because basically I'd made enough money, and I was, that was a real challenge, building something and actually walking away from it, because Millennial Money has really become my mission and my passion. And the crazy thing is that every email that I get, I get thousands of these a month now from readers, from podcast listeners, everyone that's like, you've really helped me, you've helped me get a $10,000 raise, you helped me save for my first down payment, I'm saving more than ever, I just changed careers, I launched my first side hustle. All those emails actually meant way more to me than selling another client or going and presenting. The thing is, universities are going to be fine, and a lot of these big law firms, they're going to be fine, but individuals, that's the thing, is I think it's never been easier in history to make more money. It's just people don't have the right information, and they also don't think that it's possible. So I've made myself a bit of a guinea pig when it comes to making money online, because I actually don't have to make money. But one of the cool things about Millennial Money is that I'm using it as a way to test these ideas and share them as I go, with other people. So it's kind of a win-win. That I'm not only able to teach about money, but I'm able to teach people about how to make money online as a part of that process.
Yeah. So as I was sitting here trying to figure out, what am I going to ask Grant about, because the more that I learn, the more I become fascinated, because we can go down the financial freedom, financial independence route. We can talk about entrepreneurship. We can talk about, how millennials get a bad rap for, not working hard, and yet look at you, look what you've been able to do, as a millennial. And then obviously the online business, online entrepreneur. But I feel like, gosh, like what do you want to ask right now? I'm definitely intrigued with, let's talk about the mission of Millennial Money. Because I feel like, you have a book that's coming out. So if you're watching this, the book's coming out. If you're watching this 6 months from now, the book's already out, right? So tell us a little bit about that book and what that was like and what that means for you to get that out there.
So the book's called All the Money You'll Ever Need, A Proven Plan to Fast Track Financial Freedom. And one of the things is, I always wanted to, once I started making money, I always wanted to, I wanted to get rich quick. That was, everyone wants to, win the lottery or, find a big pile of money. But when you actually get down to it, making money is not that hard, but understanding and figuring out how to make it quickly actually is. Like, you can go out, of course, and launch a tech startup and make $1 billion, but that's like also like winning the lottery. So I was wondering, how can, not the average person, but how can someone who really commits to this process actually make more money? And that's when I uncovered, the fact that, you need to make more money in order to invest. I think a lot of personal finance, and this was my big problem with personal finance, is it's focused on a scarcity mindset. And so it's all about cutting spreadsheets. What is a spreadsheet? A spreadsheet is about documenting. No, it's like, spreadsheets suck, man. But spreadsheets are all about documenting what you spent and where it went. And I always say, like, what really matters, focus on your 3 biggest expense categories: housing, transportation, and food. You can get 30 to 40% savings there. Bank that difference, and then take all the time that you're spending coupon cutting and trying to save money to go out and start a side hustle or get a raise or get a new job. And so much of personal finance is focused on this idea of cutting back, cut back, save. And I was like, who's writing about actually making more money in this space in a way that's accessible? And for me, when you put those pieces together, it creates the amplification effect. Right. So for me, it's like, how can I make as much money as possible so I could invest it, so I could get it working for me? And it worked. The thing is, there was some luck involved in what I did. But this is one of the things with Millennial Money is, once I started getting those emails, people are like, my mom gave me this book about budgeting, or I'm not going to name any books here. My mom gave me this book, and it's like, how do I make more money? Or then you have the Gary V's, who's like, hustle, hustle, hustle. But the real question is, like, how do you actually do these things? And the thing is, there are steps. And things with money, there's often a right decision. And when it comes to making more money, there are steps, there are blueprints that have been created that you can follow that at least give you a better chance at succeeding, or at least finding, say, a better side hustle idea. And so once I started sharing that, and then people actually started following it, and I was getting these emails. Here's a great example. This guy, Matt, he's like one of my personal coaching clients. Not anymore, but he was my first personal coaching client. He's a guy who's like a graphic design undergrad student in Chicago. And he was walking dogs, $16 a dog walk in the neighborhood by his school. And he reached out to me. He's like, man, I really like walking dogs. I'm really worried about my career, graphic designer. I don't know how I'm going to make money. He's a college kid. And I was like, well, do you like dog? He's like, yeah, the dog walking is the highlight of my, I love just getting out, being outside, putting on my headphones, listening to audiobooks. And we started working together. And I was like, well, could you walk dogs more? And he's like, yeah, people hit me up all the time and ask me to walk their dogs. And I said, well, why don't you walk more? He's like, well, I only have so much time I have to study. And I said, well, dude, why don't you hire your friends, you're a college kid, to actually walk the dogs? And I said, here's all you do. You go to the people who ask you for dog walks and you say, hey, I'll give you 5 free dog walks if you post on your building message board that I've got this service and that you really like me and that I'm cheaper and better, than anyone in the neighborhood. And you see that this neighborhood, there's more rentals going up. Clearly people need dog walkers. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to try that. And basically over a year period, he went from making $16 a dog walk to now he makes $250,000 a year doing this dog walking company. And he could probably grow it more, but he's like, dude, he's like, this is enough time for me. This is plenty of money. He's banking all of it. Now he got a job as a graphic designer making about $60K. He's banking all of his side hustle money, and he's on pace to reach.
This is his side hustle.
This is his side hustle. And the thing is, this is an opportunity. So he's building an asset. He's able to bank all this money. So he essentially lives on like 20% of his income. And here's a guy who just kind of like dog walking, but he was able to connect supply and demand.
Yeah.
You don't have to scale. You don't have to hire tons of employees. He hires his friends on a contractor basis, and he could grow it more if he wanted to. He could maybe sell it. But here's a guy who's like 24 years old. And he's making like over $300,000 a year doing what he loves. And it was just because he was able to realize and connect the fact that there was a demand and he was already servicing it to a limited degree and just taking that next step. And so how do you side hustle in a way that ultimately you don't have to scale, you don't have to have tons of employees, but how can you turn it into a lifestyle business? Right. And I think a lot of people waste time maybe driving for Lyft or driving for Uber. And those are fine if you want to make a couple $100 extra bucks, but that's just like working for someone else. So how do you launch a side hustle that you can build, that you have control over, that empowers you? And once that kind of clicked for me, not only did I feel more control, but money started to feel infinite as opposed to sort of limiting. Yeah. And so that in a sense was empowering. So when you realize that you do have the skills and you can go out and you don't have to work for someone else, that in and of itself, it actually, creates levels of freedom in a lot of areas of your life. And that's transformative, man.
Yeah, dude,
that changed his life. I mean, this guy he's essentially financially independent.
Just that story's amazing. I'm just trying to like digest, because we could talk like 45 minutes more about Matt and his dog walking business and how he's able to 1,000x that. I mean, that's dang amazing. What I'm really intrigued with, obviously, being in the blogosphere and having a blog, and you starting a blog 2015.
Yep.
It took you a year to kind of figure it out.
Yep.
And now, I mean, a recent, I think, an article you shared with us that Business Insider syndicated. I don't know if this was last year.
Yep.
But basically, how you made over, was it $400,000?
Yeah, I made $401,000 blogging last year.
$401,000.
Yeah.
Don't forget the one.
No, $1,000. Yeah.
So I mean, this is not even fully 3 years into it, right?
Yep.
So like 2 years plus, and $400K.
Yep.
From your guinea pig side hustle.
Yep.
Like, I'm gonna see what I can do.
Yep.
I mean, that's pretty phenomenal.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And I think a lot of people think about blogging and making money online in too limited of a terms. So they think, okay, I'm going to blog and I'm going to put ads and I'm going to put affiliate links. But today, because everyone is online all the time, not only is your blog your personal brand, but it's a platform. And a platform, there's literally thousands of ways that you can monetize, quote unquote, a blog, and you can actually fit a blog to fit your own lifestyle, your own goals. So for me, I really wanted to write a book. So my first payment on my book contract is in that $401,000. I attribute that to blog revenue because I never would have gotten the book deal without the platform. And so when you start thinking about it, or speaking opportunities, you can build an online business, quote unquote, a blog, and customize it to help you accomplish whatever goal. There's no one size fits all model, and that's what's so amazing about it.
Really quickly, you mentioned this. I don't know if you can say how much, but you've spoke at several different places across the country, and I don't know if you could share any of the amounts, but at least the locations where you've been able to ask to speak. Yeah,
I've spoken in New York City multiple times, Los Angeles. The first speaking gig that I got was actually in Chicago. It was a $1,500 I got to go have breakfast with some financial advisors, spend an hour with them, and I was like, I just feel bad. Like, what? Someone's paying me $1,500 to literally have breakfast and coffee, and everyone's sitting there just super proper. I'm so tired. I unshaven. I really played it up. But yeah, now I get paid, between $10,000 and $15,000 to speak. I just booked a gig in Bucharest in Romania. Just heard about that today. So I'm going to get first class, fly over there and speak. And so, no, this is I'm living the life. I feel really blessed. I'm living the life.
Yeah, and I think the part I love about it is it's the money's great. I mean, that's just like an amazing byproduct of you focused on this mission that you're on, and just like pouring your heart into it.
Yeah, and I do feel, like I said, like a guinea pig, because the thing is, we're in the first inning of making money online. You might think, .com bust, 2000, all those things. We're still in the first inning. It's like this is so new for all of us, and that's what the great opportunity is. So I'm like, wait, I want to help people make more money. How can they do that as quickly and as easily as possible, doing something that they love? And the thing is, you can have an online platform about anything. It doesn't have to be about money.
Right.
You know, you can create it about anything. And if you get creative and you get out there and you start connecting with people and you start engaging and you start building not just a network, but an audience, then you can engage at a whole different level. And that's what's so cool, because you know, when all the power used to be in the hands of the big companies, now it's being distributed out into individuals. And like I said, we're still in the first inning.
Yeah.
And so that's what makes it so fun. So I was able to become financially free based on things that weren't possible, 15 years ago. I think people in the next 10 years can maybe do it even faster or in a different way or on their own terms. And that's what's so cool, because no matter what financial freedom ultimately means to you, the way you can make money, if you're open, if you're willing to learn, if you're curious, if you stick with it, if you connect, man, it's super exciting. I mean, it's really super exciting that we're living in these times.
I tell you what, the cool thing is he just said, like, this is the first inning of his journey. I mean, what an amazing first inning.
I know.
Been, right?
Maybe it's the second inning. Okay. I just finished the book. We'll say we've just started the second inning.
Yeah, dude. I mean, we like I said, we just met at the Financial Blogger Conference last year, and even then, like, I hadn't heard of you yet, and then I got a chance to check you out, learn more about your story since we've been here, and I'm blown away.
Hey, man,
like, I'm excited to be playing the game with you.
Yeah, for sure. No, you're an inspiration to all of us. I've been following you for years, and that's what's been really humbling too, because the thing is, I feel like I'm standing on the shoulders of giants in a lot of ways. Like even JD Roth being here. JD Roth was the first, Get Rich Slowly was the first personal finance blog that I ever read. So it's so amazing to now be sitting amongst, and that's the really cool thing, because there's people that are just starting out that are reading my blog that, I got someone hashtagged on Twitter, Millennial Money #legend. And I was like, dude, like what? Like, are we like in this compressed time space? I've only been doing this 3 years, but that cool, man, let's do it. And people are building on my shoulders. And that's the beautiful thing, is that because there's so much content out there, because there's so much sharing, we're able to learn from people who've already done it. And it's amazing, man.
It's awesome. Dude, thank you for coming by, being a part of the channel here, but just loved hearing your story. I'm going to have some links to the blog, obviously, and need to get you more on YouTube a little bit more. I know you got some videos.
I'm there. I'm coming up.
It's coming. But no, seriously, he is one that you're going to enjoy following that journey, especially when the book comes out. And he's got some other big projects in the works that that he was mentioning to me. It's like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, check out millennialmoney.com, @millennialmoney on Twitter. The book is all the money you'll ever need. Hey, man, Jeff, this is a real pleasure.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, for sure.
Man.
Yeah.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed that interview with Grant. I mean, there were so many takeaways for me, so many takeaways that I got just by meeting with him and going through this interview. I feel like the biggest takeaway that I want you to hear from Grant's story is that don't be afraid to try something, and don't be afraid to fail if it doesn't work out. And I talk about that a lot, and I'll talk about that more, because all successful investors, all successful entrepreneurs were willing to take some risk to achieve some sort of reward. Now in Grant's case, dude, that risk paid off. The other big takeaway was when he took that mentor out for lunch and just took everything from that guy's brain and put it into his. I mean, he learned so much from that mentor. And we need those people in our life. We need people to show us some of the shortcuts, some of the tips, some of the tricks of just how to be successful that we may struggle with for years if we don't have somebody give us some guidance. Like I said, I could probably do another 30 minutes on the takeaways I got from Grant's story, but those are the two I want to focus on right now. So I hope that you enjoyed learning about Grant's story, how he became a millionaire in 5 years at the age of 30. Oh my goodness, I'm feeling so old, but oh, I love stories like that. I love it. And guess what? It happened to him. It could happen to you too. There's no reason why it can't. So if you start believing that it can't happen, well, it's not gonna happen. So you gotta have that mindset. You gotta have that mindset. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, I think you know what to do. Give me one of these, few of these likes. Be sure to subscribe so you know when the next video is coming your way, and hit that notification bell, because guess what? I got more videos coming. Yes, I do. This is Jeff Rose reminding you that it's your money, your life, and only you can make it awesome. Till next time, peace.